Well, I'm pleased to be joined now by the voice of the CPCA, Greg Buchanan. Greg, thank you very much for taking this time and chatting with me.
Well, thanks for having me, Evan.
Now, Greg, Friday night kicks off the 3-day event in Meadow Lake. Now, obviously, this is the last show on the CPCA tour before the Canadian Championship here coming up. And Bucky, is it safe to say this is really crunch time for some of those drivers looking to make it, say, the top four for that end dash at the finals there?
Yeah, I think if you relate it to the chuck wagon track in general, you're going around that third corner right now. Fourth corner is within your sights. Then the home stretch is the Lloyd final. So you're close to that fourth corner right now, ready for that home stretch. And keep in mind, there's a key number to keep in mind as we roll into Meadow Lake for 3 days there, and then of course the Dan Around Tough CPCA finals. And the key number is 7. So there's 7 race nights left to qualify for that final day in Lloydminster to race for a Canadian Championship. So you have 3 days in Meadow Lake, all points. The first 4 days of the Dan Around Tough CPCA finals is all points. So you want to be in that top 4 at the end of racing a week from Saturday at the Lloyd final. So there is going to be definitely a lot on the line here this weekend in Meadow Lake. And if you're not in the top 4, you want to make that top 4. And then keep in mind too, the top 12 drivers in the CPCA driver standings also get an invite to the North American Chuck Wagon Championship next year. So it's a top 4, it's a top 12, a lot going on, and it's a big weekend indeed this weekend in Meadow Lake.
More riding on the line, say, than even past years, like you said, with that NACC qualifying now in there. Just taking a look at the current standings, Logan Gorse currently sits in first, followed by Ryan Baptiste, Todd Baptiste, and BJ Carey to round out that top 4. Jamie Labacane and Danny Ringette. Just a handful of points there. Really, it's about 10 points. So anybody's game at this point here. And a guy that I just mentioned there, Bucky, has been absolutely tearing up the track. 3 of his last 4 races. He's been the aggregate winner here, and that is Jamie Labacane. I mean, simply here, Bucky, what has he been doing right on the track?
Just confidence. When you're confident in the 4 that you have in front of you, when you're sitting in the wagon box, it makes your job being a driver even easier. Jamie Labacane, here's a stat. Another key number, 7 again. He had, in 7 straight race days, he had a day money win. Either he was driving it or he was driving for his injured brother, BJ Carey. You don't see that very often at all in chuck wagon racing. So it's amazing you see that come through like that with Jamie Labacane. And there's a lot that goes into it too, because it's grueling. In 21 days, the CPCA was on the track 16 times. So it's grueling on the barn, it's grueling on the drivers. And Jamie's barn was a little nicked up and a little bit, had some injuries to some of the horses, rested a few of them this past weekend in Palmaker. Instead of driving 2 wagons, only drove 1. And he rested them because he knows there's a bigger thing to win. And he's always wanted to win a Canadian Championship. His dad has won 6 of them, so he wants to win 1. And this might be the year Jamie Labacane does it.
And Bucky, a great quote actually from Brian there is, you mentioned how grueling the sport of chuck wagon racing is. Well, Brian said, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Obviously, that's not the case, as there's just the 32 drivers with the CPCA, but definitely it holds true up to this day. Now, Bucky, going into this weekend in Meadow Lake, I feel like the odds-on favorite really are Jamie Labacane. Obviously, like I said, 3 out of those 4, he was the aggregate winner there. But if you did have to choose a dark horse to win this weekend, who are you thinking?
My guy comes to mind is a Danny Ringette. We saw what he has in his barn in Little Pine. Won a day money, won a show there, and he's knocking on the door. He's in 6th right now. Jamie Labacane, you got to consider him too. But a guy that you go a little bit further down that list, and when we're waiting for him to do even better things we've already seen, and that's a man sitting 9th right now in the driver standings in Frog Lakes, Preston Faithful. He's put together some great runs. If not for a few penalties here and there, that he would be knocking on the door for that top 4. So Preston Faithful is, I'm not going to say he's going to win the show, but you know what? He's going to have a very impressive weekend in Meadow Lake.
Bucky, he had a day money win not too long ago, so he's definitely on the right trajectory there for a possible show win. Greg, should be exciting going forward. Meadow Lake starts off Friday night. Thank you very much for taking this time and joining me.
Thanks, Evan.